When is there ever not a situation in the girl group world? Someone's on hiatus, someone's leaving, line distribution debates, fan wars, media speculation. There's always something. Some members get the spotlight immediately. They get the most lines, most camera time. Others have to work twice as hard to be seen. And sometimes, even when they do everything right, the narrative around them has already been decided. Today I'll be focusing on Katseye and the girl groups Fifth Harmony, Little Mix and Girlicious, and I'll be identifying the patterns we can see across them. Right now, the spotlight's on Katseye because Manon is taking an indefinite hiatus. Their labels Hybe and Geffen say this is due to health reasons, but Manon later clarified that she is healthy and that sometimes things happen beyond your control. Naturally, fans are speculating. I want to use this current situation with Katseye to delve deeper into how early narratives are built into girl groups and how those narratives stick. Before we go further, I'd like to define two things: structural visibility and narrative visibility. Keep into the context of girl groups. Structural visibility, your actual position in the group. Lines, center focus, and promo opportunities. Narrative visibility, the story built around a member. The editing, media framing, fan discourse, or group dynamics. Basically how the members are perceived. Sometimes these align, sometimes they don't. Well, let's get into it. Katseye was formed in 2023 through the survival show Dream Academy, a collaboration between Korean label Hybe and US label Geffen Records. Over 120,000 girls auditioned. That was narrowed down to a top 20, who then trained for 2 years under the intensive K-pop trainee system. This involved daily vocals, choreography, evaluations. The final lineup was decided through a combination of a panel including Hybe and Geffen executives and global fan voting. From the top 20, 6 members debuted. They are Daniela Vancini, Megan Skindale, Sophia Laforteza, Laura Raj, Yoon Chae-jung, and Manon Bannerman. The Netflix docuseries Popstar Academy Katseye documented that entire 2-year process. Both Manon and Lara were scouted midway in the program instead of auditioning in the formal way. Manon came from Switzerland and, unlike the rest of the girls in the program, had no formal vocal or dance training. Because of this, she was provided additional support, including her own choreographer and vocal coach, to get up to speed with the rest of the trainees. This is where the underdog narrative creeps in. Manon seemingly struggled initially with her lack of experience.
And I'm surrounded by girls who are pros.
Who have been here much longer than you.
Right. I tend to forget that. But then I just get frustrated and insecure.
The show highlighted moments where she missed rehearsals or appeared less prepared. Management and some of the trainees called her out for it. It was framed as a lack of dedication.
Sometimes people of star quality have this arrogance or whatever it is about them, but with K-pop, there's also this required humbleness and kindness and caring about others and your teammates. I have not seen that from Manon. I would absolutely not put her in this group based on my work experience with her. They'll be going to practice today. Okay.
Another trainee also missed multiple days of rehearsal, but they did not receive the same narrative emphasis on screen. Note this difference, because once something is framed repeatedly, edited a certain way, reinforced episode after episode, it becomes your identity in the eyes of the audience. Manon became the trainee who had to prove herself. Structurally, despite being labelled the visual, she was often placed towards the back of choreography. Actually, in the group's early days, Sophia was positioned as the centre and leader, but narratively, Manon's underdog storyline gained traction. She was a viral sensation. She received intense support and intense scrutiny at the same time, so her narrative visibility began to outgrow her structural positioning. Fifth Harmony was formed on the US version of X Factor in 2012. The members, Ali Brooke, Lauren Huregi, Dinah Jane, Camila Cabello, and Normani, initially auditioned as soloists, then were put together. After auditions, they went through boot camp, then judges' houses, then the live performance rounds. The group was mentored by Simon Cowell and presented as cohesive, with a tight-knit girl friendship framing. But during the live shows, Camila was framed as the standout and commercially viable.
And I think they should know so they know how to work better together. I think that they should just all figure out you.
Okay, They placed third on the show and had mainstream success following the release of their EP and debut album. By the era of their sophomore album, 727, the structural imbalances became more visible, and the speculation that Camila was being pushed intensified. She had solo collaborations and industry backing, both structural and narrative alignment. Normani, despite being widely regarded by fans as one of the strongest performers in the group, experienced a gap between her abilities and structural prominence. That gap created both heavy fan protection, particularly from her black fan base, alongside hyper scrutiny from others. Little Mix formed on the British version of The X Factor in 2011. They became the first and only girl group to win the show. The members are Jade Thirlwall, Perry Edwards, Jessie Nelson, and Leanne Pinnock, and they were mentored by Talisa. After the show, they became one of the most successful British girl groups of the 2010s. From early on, Perry had structural prominence. Despite the group insisting that they had no lead singer, Perry often had strong high notes and centre positioning on key moments. Jessie had strong narrative visibility, tied heavily to media treatment and bullying conversations. Leanne, however, had early structural underuse, less centre positioning, fewer standout vocal moments. She also had less narrative focus. The structural and narrative invisibility occurred simultaneously. Girlicious was formed in 2007 on the TV competition Pussycat Dolls Presents Girlicious by Pussycat Dolls founder Robin Antin and Geffen Records. The competition invited girls from across the USA to compete for a place in a new girl group. The group was originally meant to be a trio, and Robin Antin stated that she wanted this group to be a more urban version of the Pussycat Dolls. Remember that term. We're going to come back to it later. Each week, a girl was eliminated until the final four remained. Nicole Cordova, Christina Sayers, Natalie Mayer, and Tiffany Anderson. Christina and Natalie gained narrative visibility through drama arcs and repeated bottom two placements. They were framed as inconsistent, but with star quality. In contrast, Tiffany and Nicole were positioned as the stronger technical contenders, especially vocally. Nicole in particular received consistent praise at judges' panel and largely stayed out of the drama. Tiffany, however, was often framed as getting involved in it.
You running your mouth about, oh, these bitches did this and that. You never said this in my face.
The group experienced moderate success, particularly in Canada, where their self-titled album charted well. Nicole's structural and narrative visibility continued post-show. She frequently held lead vocals and centre focus in performances. Remember that urban term? Following the release of their first album, Tiffany confirmed that she was let go from the group because executives were no longer looking for the group to be urban.
I'm no longer a part of the group. I'm no longer a part of Girlicious. Robin Antin and the new label, they were looking for a new direction for the group, and in a meeting at the airport, they said that they were looking for the group to not be urban any longer, and kind of urban, so I just didn't fit into the new puzzle that they're going to create.
The group continued as a trio before eventually disbanding. Let's place these groups side by side so we can identify the emerging patterns. Structural and narrative visibility do not operate on an even playing field. For black members in particular, they're either overlooked or visible under certain conditions shaped by scrutiny, branding, and fan perception. In Little Mix, Leanne later reflected on this experience in the BBC documentary Race, Pop and Power. In the documentary, she speaks about feeling invisible during the early years of the group's success. Despite Little Mix seemingly thriving with multiple number ones and Brit Awards, she describes feeling overlooked, less centred, and unsure of where she fit within the group's visual and commercial identity. Culturally, they were dominant, but visibility did not feel equal. Similarly, in Fifth Harmony, Normani experienced a noticeable gap between perceived ability and structural prominence. In a Billboard 2021 interview, she said that she had felt overlooked in Fifth Harmony as she did not really get to sing. Then there's Girlicious. The group was initially described as a more urban version of the Pussycat Dolls, and according to member Tiffany, she was the only member to be removed when the executives were no longer going that direction. Branding language like that is rarely neutral and shapes who is seen as commercially flexible and who is boxed into a narrower category. And then you bring it back to Katseye. Manon was one out of two members scouted and entered the competition without formal training. She was framed as the underdog but questioned early about commitment, about attendance, and about whether she was working hard enough. Fans soon picked up on this narrative, with some criticising her abilities, while others come to her defence, creating simultaneous hyper-scrutiny and fan protection. So we have invisibility in some areas and conditional visibility in others. Then, in some cases, fan protection rises wherever imbalance is perceived, and suddenly the conversation around the member becomes louder than music. Now, these patterns come together in real time with Katseye. Manon has become more and more visible, but that comes with pressure. Fans scrutinising her every move and speculation about her hiatus dominates the conversation. The underdog narrative that followed her from Popstar Academy still lingers. Since her hiatus, Manon has followed Normani, Leanne, and black member from Pussycat Dolls, Melody. She's also liked and now unliked, a real highlighting the mistreatment of black women in groups, hinting at a wider awareness of these issues. What we see with Manon is not unique. It's the same structural and narrative dynamics that have affected Normani, Leanne, Tiffany, and several others before her. It's the gaps between ability and prominence, continued visibility, hyper-scrutiny, and fan protection. The lesson here is clear. Visibility in girl groups isn't just about talent or dedication. It's about how members are positioned, branded, and narrated. Mano's current situation reminds us that these patterns continue to exist.